those days, we played a lot of unorganized sports. We were always at the baseball diamond, either playing pickup baseball, or we used to call it knocking out flies. We played football, played a lot of different sports, organized sports, baseball in the harbor. And Legion used to be the sponsor in those days, and sponsor a team in the harbor, and they gave us uniforms and stuff, which we thought was pretty neat. I also played some minor ball in Midland for a couple of years. Hockey, a lot of hockey down at the rink in the harbor that moved around. One of the interesting things about the rink that I think about now that would never fly today is there was really no supervision. There were volunteers, and in the rink shack where we changed our skates, there was a wood stove in the center of the room, and one wall was stacked with wood. So it was our responsibility during the day, or when we're skating at night, to put wood in the wood stove. And the stove would be just covered with mitts and toques and hats. And I'm thinking nowadays it would be a real fire hazard, but we all survived. And then I played organized hockey in Midland for a number of years, and for the MSS high school team. And then following that, played for a couple of years in Coldwater. And Tom Smith, who had a car dealership here, was our coach in Coldwater. So we had a lot of fun. There were a lot of harbor kids on the team.
Do you want to mention about the ball hockey?
Yeah, ball hockey was, I think, one of the great things that we did. We were always playing ball hockey on the streets, or taking shots, as we used to call it. My brother Tom came up with the idea one time of forming a league. So we got a hold of everybody. We had an initial draft at the, I think it was called Teen Town, that little community center that was in the basement of the building just adjacent to us. So we actually, captains were selected. Tom was one, John Todd was one. Cousino Boys, one of them was a captain, I forget the other. And then all the kids were there, and they actually had a draft, and they picked the teams. And we started playing in Midland, played in Midland for a couple of years, or maybe just 1 year, and then we went to Coldwater because it was cheaper for us to rent Coldwater. And we used to even do trades, and we would have a draft at the beginning of each year, and then we would even do trades during the year. The Alphonse girls were the timekeepers and the stats keepers. They would keep the stats, and we would take turns refereeing. If you played the first game, well, you would ref the second game, and so on. But the funny thing was some of the names of the teams, like they were named after streets. So there was the Park Street Penguins, Frenchtown Canadians, Richard Street Rangers, and my favorite was the team I was originally on. It was the William Street Screaming Smelts. And we had that name because William Street crosses the Hog River, and we used to always fish smelts down there. And then that team, we used to, after the games, we would go out to the Varian House. And the guy was appreciative of the business he was getting, so he offered to sponsor a team. But they had to call themselves the Bavarian House. So the William Street Screaming Smelts became the Bavarian House Hops. And I guess we played for about 3 years. There was a couple of guys, my brother, Jerry Larmaw, who used to drive up from Toronto each week to participate in the games that I think were Tuesday nights. So, and it used to get pretty hot in the old Coldwater Arena in the middle of the summer playing ball hockey. And funny thing, the first year we had it, somehow, the scores used to be put in I think it was the Aurelia paper, for whatever reason. And there's a photo that I have a copy of the Bavarian House Hops who won the championship the first year. And the title says World Ball Hockey Champions, because that's what we called ourselves, because in those days nobody else had a ball hockey league or even thought of doing organized ball hockey. So yeah, and we're in these little wee sweaters, and yeah, it was pretty neat, a lot of fun.
Again, you can edit this out. Do you remember our penalty?
Penalties?
Yeah. Ted took me into the boards head first.
Oh!
So I turned around and whacked him across the back of the legs with my stick. And his brother, the referee, put us both in the box.
Yeah! And the one thing that was funny was big play out, and we had a rule that if you got kicked out of a game, you couldn't play the next game. So the Cosno boys were playing on this one team, and Danny was on a different team. So it ends up it's Danny's turn to referee. So there's a bit of a scuffle at the end of the game. Danny kicks the two brothers out of the game, and they couldn't play the next game, which was the second of the playoff. And I guess when he got home, they took care of him. Can you imagine?